She thought it was going to be a casual pasta video, but what the world saw was a performance draped in ghosts of the past and glittering reminders of a life she insists on proving she's still living. Meghan Markle appeared in a crisp white shirt alone in a spotless kitchen cooking pasta for one, and yet her wrist told a very different story. Diana's Cartier watch worth nearly $18,000 and that infamous love bracelet still shackling her to Trevor, the ex-husband, whose name she pretends doesn't exist. The result, not a cooking tutorial, but the most expensive bowl of spaghetti ever stirred on camera. If it weren't Meghan, you'd think it was an overfunded influencer, doing a parody of luxury loneliness, that strange genre where you flex £250,000 in jewelry while pretending to be relatable over a plate of carbs. The Cartier, of course, was no innocent accessory. It wasn't just gold, it was Diana's shadow ticking loudly on her wrist, reminding viewers that every bite of pasta carried the weight of royal sentiment. And the bracelet, a relic from a love story. Long buried, yet still gleaming like a locked diary, she insists on wearing in public. What struck viewers wasn't that she cooked with jewelry that's trivial. It was the contradiction screaming through the screen. How do you market yourself as approachable when you're literally stirring spaghetti with heirlooms more valuable than the kitchen itself? It wasn't pasta, it was performance art, and the message was crystal clear. Look at me, I'm thriving. Alone but thriving. But that's where the tension creeps in. Because Harry was nowhere in sight. No cheeky cameo, no off-screen laugh, no affectionate interruption. Just Meghan the pasta and the jewelry that told a louder story than any scripted monologue could. And when her birthday came and went with silence from Harry, no public shout-out, no carefully staged couple photo, not even the usual PR kiss uploaded for damage control, the whispers started to sound like facts. Can a woman truly be happily married if she spends her birthday spotlighting pasta instead of her husband? Perhaps that Cartier ticked louder than she intended. Perhaps the love bracelet wasn't just a bracelet, but a reminder that sometimes the past clings tighter than the present. And perhaps, just perhaps, the silence between Harry and Meghan wasn't accidental, but the first note of a symphony no one in their camp dares to play out loud. But the silence between them didn't just echo in the pasta video, it spilled directly into the business empire Meghan keeps trying and failing to build. Her much-hyped lifestyle brand first launched as American Riviera Orchard, and then abruptly rebranded to as ever was supposed to be her answer to Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop. Instead, it looks more like a cookbook, where the chef forgot the recipe vendors left unpaid supply chains unsecured, and lawsuits piling higher than the fruit baskets she keeps posing with. The rebrand itself became a metaphor for the chaos, like changing your wedding dress halfway down the aisle, smiling as though nothing happened while the guests exchanged bewildered glances. The shift wasn't a strategic pivot. It was panic with a glossy Instagram filter. One week, it was orchard and artisanal jam jars. The next, it was a vague, poetic phrase meant to feel timeless. But timelessness doesn't pay invoices, and creditors don't accept hashtags as currency. And Harry nowhere. No supportive statement, no quiet endorsement, not even a courtesy retweet. Oh, he has always been the gravitational pull that kept Meghan's projects orbiting in the public eye. Without him, the brand feels like a balloon losing air, floating erratically, then collapsing with a sad little sigh. If this business were a plate of pasta, it wouldn't just be overcooked, it would be drained of salt, doused in olive oil, and served with a caption claiming it was organic chic. What makes it worse is the optics millions poured into PR before the foundation of the company was even secured. It's like Meghan is trying to sell the trailer of a movie that has no script, no cast, and no actual film. The illusion works for a moment until someone asks for the product, and then suddenly the curtain falls. So the question lingers, was this brand ever meant to succeed? Or was it just another glittery distraction, a mirage designed to keep her in the spotlight long enough to drown out the silence at home? Because if a pasta video can expose cracks in a marriage, a failing business can turn those cracks into a fault line. And when the curtain on her brand began to slip, the spectacle only grew more absurd. Netflix, the very partner that once bet millions on her star power, didn't bother weaving her products into their shows. No jam jars sitting coyly on countertops, no lifestyle tie-ins, not even a discreet nod to as ever. If Netflix truly believed in the empire Meghan was selling, they would have turned every episode into a silent commercial. Instead, the silence was deafening. The desperation became even more visible when she attempted the celebrity cosign strategy, shipping her curated gift baskets to the Kardashians like a student passing notes to the cool kids at lunch. Khloe Kardashian did post a picture, but with all the enthusiasm of someone acknowledging an Amazon delivery, no tag, no glowing caption, no endorsement. Just a bland image tossed into the void. And then came the real embarrassment. Meghan herself reposted it, layering on her own praise, as if trying to force excitement into a room that had already left the party. It was the digital equivalent of talking to yourself in a group chat, smiling through the humiliation as everyone else quietly scrolls past. Sending fruit preserves to the Kardashians is like offering tap water at a champagne gala. It's accepted politely but never opened. And then, as if the stage wasn't shrinking fast enough, her mother Doria, once a regular presence smiling in Kardashian photos, even outshining Meghan in warmth and relatability, slipped into sudden silence. No more candid appearances. No more subtle endorsements. Some whisper that Meghan never enjoyed sharing her spotlight, not even with family. And when Doria's glow became a distraction, the cameras turned away. Conveniently or strategically, no one really knows. So here we are. Netflix ignoring the brand, Kardashians offering the politest rejection in celebrity history, and even her own mother vanishing from the supporting cast. If Meghan was hoping to build a lifestyle empire through borrowed relevance, she may have just discovered the cruelest truth of fame: when you stop being useful, even your allies leave you on scene. The vanishing act wasn't limited to Meghan's circle. Harry too found himself unraveling in real time. The charities that once defined his post-royal identity began collapsing under scrutiny. His split from Shinabali, a foundation he once called a lifelong commitment, ended in messy fallout. And worse still, Africa Parks, another organization tied to his name, faced allegations of horrific abuse against indigenous communities. Through it all, Harry said nothing, his silence as heavy as Meghan's jewel-clad wrist, as if he believed ignoring the storm would somehow make it pass. And then came the Invictus Games. Once his proudest achievement, the crown jewel of his independent career, it began to look less like a movement for veterans and more like a photo op stage for carefully choreographed appearances. Reports whispered of disillusioned veterans and staff, over 2,000 participants and affiliates walking away in the last 2 years, frustrated by the lack of transparency and genuine support. What was once a platform of healing and resilience now risked being dismissed as vanity dressed in medals. The optics were damning. Each red carpet smile, each camera-ready speech, each tailored suit worn alongside Meghan's couture started to feel like theater rather than service. Critics said he no longer showed up for the soldiers, only for the flashbulbs. And the veterans, the very heart of Invictus, were tired of playing extras in a PR performance they never signed up for. There was a time Harry was seen as Diana's son, the soldier prince who carried both grief and grit into causes bigger than himself. Now he seemed distracted, detached, almost hollow, appearing just enough to be photographed but not enough to lead. His silence wasn't stoic anymore. It was suffocating a void where leadership used to be. And as Meghan's brand crumbled on one side and Harry's legacy cracked on the other, the image of their union began to look less like rebellion and more like ruin. Because when even Invictus starts to resemble a costume party rather than a cause, it's no longer just a stumble, it's the unmistakable beginning of collapse. And the cracks didn't stop there, they deepened with every move the couple made. Even their own nonprofit Archewell stumbled into scandal after donating more than $50,000 to an organization whose founder had been accused of anti-Israel views, a blunder that painted them less as compassionate philanthropists and more as careless figureheads signing checks without reading the fine print. The symbolism was devastating. When you champion charity without due diligence, it looks less like generosity and more like negligence dressed up in PR gloss. Then came the infamous wreath stunt. On a solemn anniversary in the UK, Harry arranged for a memorial wreath to be laid after the King and Queen had already departed. Instead of reverence, the act came across as a clumsy jab at the monarchy, a desperate attempt to hijack headlines under the guise of respect. When the gesture failed to generate press, it was quietly leaked to a friendly reporter, an act so transparent it confirmed the suspicion that every move now was less about honor and more about optics. And as for Meghan's supposed Netflix holiday special, early clips went viral, not for admiration, but for mockery. AI parodies of awkward monologues, voodoo dolls, and empty kitchens spread faster than any official trailer. When satire becomes more entertaining than the original, the brand is no longer alive, it's a caricature of itself. What's left is an image built entirely on PR scaffolding, Harry clinging to fading legacies, Meghan chasing relevance through glossy illusions, both watching their projects collapse in real time. Together, they once shook the monarchy. Now they can barely hold on to public interest. So the final question lingers, one that even their fiercest defenders can't answer with certainty. Are we witnessing just another rough patch in a turbulent marriage? Or are we watching the closing act of a partnership that once promised to rewrite the rules of royalty? Because if pasta videos, collapsing charities, and parody trailers are all that's left, then perhaps the story isn't one of reinvention anymore, but of a glittering downfall already in motion.